Hey guys, this is TheEnder, and this is going to be set 3 from Zero versus Bisu in the finals of the PLU 2014 China versus Korea StarCraft 1 Brood War competition. So what we've seen in the first two matches so far, first two sets so far, is pretty much, Bisu's a beast. Hero is a very good player, but let's be honest. I mean, if Bisu has one matchup that literally was made for him, that his name is involved in many of the build orders for, it's PvZ. He's just one of the best PvZ players ever. And as creative as Zero is, he's having trouble beating him. So alright, I believe this is Jade. And so yeah, let's jump right into it. Map is Jade. Spawning in the bottom right position, the red Protoss is going to be Bisu. And spawning in the bottom left position, our yellow Zerg is going to be Zero. So yeah, map is going to be Neo Jade. It's a blue map. And of course, because it's Jade, the main is actually going to be on the low ground, which is somewhat surprising. Usually it's the main's on the high ground and the natural's on the low ground, but that's reversed on Jade. In this matchup, usually it doesn't mean anything. Usually it's only in the Protoss versus Terran matches that it comes into play, but you never know. It looks like Zero's booth girl has abandoned him because he hasn't been playing good enough for her. Oh well. I'm sorry, Zero. Better to have had one and lost one than to never had one at all, right? Oh well. So, one thing going for Zero is he does appear to be scouting in the correct direction, whereas Bisu is not. But come on, let's be honest. If Zero wants to win, he needs to throw in a Hydra Bust. Either a Hydra Bust or a fake Hydra Bust, something involving Hydras that forces Bisu to make a ton of cannons. Anyways, so once again, it's a best of 5. Bisu's already up 2 games, so if he wins this, that means he wins. I don't know what the prize pool is. I assume it's not very large since it's so few players in the tournament. But of course, hey, pride's on the line always. So we're gonna have a little Probe versus Drone showdown, and it looks like Probe is winning. Oh no! Oh no! 4 HP left. 4 HP. Alright, he regens 1. He's at 5. But the Probe is out for blood. He's out for blood. He gets a hit. 2 HP left on the drone. 2 HP. 2 HP. 3 HP. And the pylon goes. Oh, Probe is coming around, and the Probe gets him. Oh, baller Probe. 6lings are out. 1 cannon is down. It's going to finish in time. 2nd cannon on the way. Not going to finish in time. But single cannon will be completely done. There will be a gateway to block. And probably a probe to block. So I assume it's going to be fine. And the pylon finishes. So probes come out to buffer for the cannon. Doesn't even matter. The Zerglings already gave up. They came back to kill the pylon so the hatchery can be placed down. 3rd base was taken before the natural for Zero. Let's be honest. Zero's first 2 games haven't been going well for him. This game he's already off to a really, really rocky start. As far as Zero's plan for the game, really, I really think he has to go for something like hope Bisu goes for Corsair Reaver and then loses his first Reaver to some Scourge or something. That's literally Zero's options on game plan right now. So Bisu, on the other hand, he can do whatever he wants. I mean, he's got 2 games that he can drop if he needs to. But yeah, so I'm excited for the next match, which is the 2v2 matchup. It's going to be for Korea. We're going to have C and Movie, so Protoss and Terran. And for Team China, I'll have to look it up, but we've got some other guys who are some form of actual competitive 2v2er, so that could be interesting. The one thing I have seen a lot of times, mainly in StarCraft 2 rather than Brood War, is that in 2v2, since the Koreans don't play it much, since they focus only on the individual 1v1, they're not as used to 2v2 tactics as a lot of foreigners who play 2v2 all the time for fun. So maybe the Chinese will have an opportunity to win in that. So of course 2v2 plays out really differently than 1v1. I haven't seen any for a while, but from what I can remember, it's surprisingly heavily focused on static defense and micro, which are two things that completely counteract. I don't want to say counteract there. It's counterintuitive to say both in the same sentence. So the way 2v2s usually come down, as my understanding is, it's just hyper-aggressive rushing it from all players. And since it's always in the early game, you really have to get static defense to make sure that you don't die. And because static defense is just so cost-effective, especially in the early game. Looks like Zergling speed is done for 0, and Spire's on the way. But yeah, so yes, static D from all the players, hyper-aggressive rushing, and then on top of that, usually the Protoss win. That's that's competitive 2v2 in a nutshell. But yeah, we'll see how that goes. So, alright, we got a lot of Zerglings out for 0. Scouting Worker does finally go down, but let's be honest, I mean, that Scouting Worker already killed a drone like, 5 minutes ago. So he paid for himself and then some. So we've got about 6 or so Speedlings out, maybe 3 or 4 Zealots for Bisu. Looks like the Zerglings wanted to get us around, but they chickened out. Unfortunately for 0, if he keeps on playing safe, and he's already behind, he's just going to get more behind. So, second gateway coming down for Bisu, we had +1 for the Sayers, probably not good range, so +1 for the Sayers, and +1 melee attack for the Protoss ground troops. 0's going to go and take a really early 4th base with his... That's going to be a 6th hatchery. So we will have to be careful, make sure he does, sunken up really well. I mean, I think that is probably a decent strategy, taking, aggressive expansions, since attacks really haven't been working for 0 so far this series. He is going to pick off one Zealot at minimal cost. Looks like he loses 2 Zerglings for it. But yes, so I think that, like I said, a fast 4th base for 0 and sunkening in, forcing it into the mid-game possibly could work really well for him. Because so far in his matches, he seemed to favor a pretty Zergling-heavy composition. And of course, Zergling-heavy composition works well in the late game. One, because you'll have the adrenal glands, which you have to have the hive to get. One, because they work well with the dark swarms, which once again you don't get until hive. It's just all the things are going to start to line up for him, and when you get to the late game, all of a sudden you're going to have all these hatcheries that are no longer producing only drones. So you're going to have a ton of free larvae, so you can once again pump a ton of Zerglings. I think it's all just going to work out well for him if he literally just hunkers down and plays Turtle Zerg. Turtle Zerg. Swarm hosts look sort of like turtles. Whoop! Oh man, only 1 Corsair goes down. And there's no Spore, so looks like 4 total overlords go down? No. Corsairs decide to run for it. So BC's going to take a 3rd base behind this, but that 3rd base is going to be slower than 0's 4th, so 0 is going to remain ahead on bases. Let's hope he starts up his upgrades, because once again, once you get your Zerglings, your Carapace and your melee attacks up to 3/3, once again, they're also going to really trade out effectively versus Zealots. But it's just a waiting game then. Alright, it looks like the Zealots have speed and +1. DT trying to push in, but he's not going to get anywhere. There's 2 Sunkens and a Spore there. Third base for Bisu is not going to be harassed, so it will get up. And still only drones coming out for Zero.
아예 작정하고 장기전을 가야 된다. 이런 말씀을 하시는 거고 정말 이번에는 안정적으로 그래도 이전 경기에 비해서는 안정적이잖아요. 그럼요. 근데 이전 경기보다 훨씬 낫습니다. 네.
Alright, so we have Mutas coming out for Zero. So this is interesting. I mean, he knows he's already Corsairs with +1 out. And he hasn't had any luck in the earlier games going against them, but let's see. So he's up to how many mutas? Still can't see him. Looks like we have photon cannons going down in the mineral lines for anti-muta. Looks like it's at least 7 muta, about a dozen Scourge again. Once again, you usually try to focus down the cannons with your mutas, and then you try to flank the Corsairs with the Scourge. So, of course, since it is Brood War, the pathing is suboptimal. So it looks like 2 Corsairs went down at the... Whoa! 2 Corsairs went down at the cost of all the Scourge. And there's going to be a single Mutalist that splits off and goes to attack the probes. Oh! He's actually going to attack... Oh, that's funny. He took out the probe that was behind the minerals. So when you go for the mass Corsair strategy, it's most optimal if you stack all the Corsairs on top of each other. And the reason is that way all their splashes hit at the same location rather than their splashes hitting in opposite directions. So you literally you put a worker behind your mineral line and you trap it there so it can't go anywhere. And whenever you do that and you spam click with a control group of units somewhere else, they'll stack up on one another when they're area units. Which you can do the same thing with Zerglings and Mutas. And occasionally you will see it. But that's what Bisu was doing. But Zero, with his one lone Mutalist that he split off so that the Corsairs couldn't chase them all down, he took out that one probe. And so that was kind of annoying to Bisu. I don't know if you saw it right then, but Bisu did a really cool trick to try and get another probe back there. I mean, after all, they were stuck. So I mean, it's not like he can just walk another probe back there. He doesn't have a dropship out to drop one. So instead, he put several probes on a single mineral patch, and then he hit stop. And when you do that, all of a sudden the probes stop mineral walking, and they literally do the regular unit bugging out where they all try to get onto their own little location. In doing so, you can trick probes through mineral patches. I don't know if he was able to do it, but that's what he was trying to do. Right now, looks like Bisu wasn't very happy, went for an attack, but he was repulsed at both the natural and the third base because there were lurkers already morphed and there's no observers. So the Robo went down right away, but in the meantime he was forced to retreat, and he's going to take a 4th base. And Zero, on the other hand, he's going for his late game. Hive is done, Defiler mounted on the way. He's getting a Sunken and a Spore in every one of his bases, which is quite smart. Because if you don't get a Sunken and a Spore, you will get dropped by, DTs or HTs, and you literally have to, always run away your probes and always send a small group of units to take care of it. But he went for the simpler, easier way, which is just put a Sunken and a Spore in every base, and that way you will not be camped over by Corsairs, and DTs will not slaughter your entire mineral lines while you're not watching. So, looks like Zero is very much prepared for a long game, and it looks like that is his style. And then Bisu, on the other hand, he's just doing his traditional... I mean, he just plays such a strong style. It's a solid game. He plays full court press. From the very beginning of the game with the probe harass, trying to stop your expansions going down, throwing down the pylon block, killing your drones with his probe. Full-time scouting into Corsair DT. Bisu plays a really solid all-around game. Like I said, full court press. But uh-oh. Oh, no. Oh, the storm's so dirty. On top of the rally point. course, Zerglings go down to storms really fast. But, oh, look at how many Zerglings there are. Oh, Zerglings are getting rallied behind. It looks like Bisu's army is going to retreat right into Zerglings. But still, I mean, look at this. Bisu, I mean, he gets his army completely surrounded, yet he's microing so perfectly. So he pulls back, he storms more. Oh, but there's just too much Zerg! Oh! And here you go, Goons going down left and right. Ling's super cost-effective versus Goons. Goons take 4 shots to take down Zerglings most of the time. And yet, you know, a Goon is literally worth, I think, what is it, 7 Zerglings cost-wise? So killing Goons with Zerglings is just so super efficient. So alright, after winning that battle, and really reducing the size of Bisu's army, Zero is going to go ahead and take his fifth base at the 7 o'clock position. At least I thought he was. I thought I saw a drone moving out. But of course the problem with going for mass Lings rather than mass Hydras is you don't have enough anti-air. And so these Corsairs, which have been alive the entire game, are just being super annoying right here. It looks like there's still 7 Corsairs. And the Lings, they have such little upgrades. 1 armor, and Bisu's probably at like 3-0-0 right now. Okay, so 5th base goes down at the 9 o'clock position, rather than the 7 o'clock position I was thinking it would. But, you know, it's a really good position. You know, it's solidly on Zero's side of the map. Looks like he's got a Ling going to be really annoying when Bisu tries to take his 5th. But, so yeah. So Bisu's on a solid 4th bases, but I'm saying right now, the aggression he's going for is not going to work. I mean, super mass Zealot like that, it looks really nice, but going up against Lurker fields, the Lurkers just do so much splash on the Zealots. Well, but there was only like 3 or 4 Lurkers, so they get cleaned up. Here comes the Ling Flood. And there's the Defilers. Defilers are out. Can we get a good plague? Running in with the Lurkers for this round. Oh, 6 storms. Oh, 6 storms. Oh my god, that's so devastating. Looks like the 5th base for Zero is going to get cancelled rather than killed, which is good job for him. Bisu's reinforcements are coming in, but they're running into Lurkers, so they're going to retreat. It looks like, oh man, just due to the sheer power of those Psy Storms. Oh no, another storm. Oh man. I mean, it's just so many storms, such great micro from Bisu. I mean, he's still going to lose everything, but he's taken down so much of Zero's forces, and I mean, they are on even bases. So, 3 observers looking at the rally point for Zero. Oh no, Zero, that Zergling. He's got 4 Lings near the 5th base of Bisu that Bisu's going to take, but they're not paying attention, and cannons are going up. See, this is the point where you got to be really careful as a Protoss player, because literally half a dozen Lings and a single Defiler. Oh, plague on all the Corsairs! But yeah, half a dozen Lings and a single Defiler could take out that 4th base for Bisu easily. Because under the Dark Swarm, you know, the photon cannons just do no damage. So DT going to clean up a control group of Zerglings, and 5th base attempting to go down at the 7 o'clock position for Zero. But that one Rambo DT is probably got about 10 kills by now. Man, so many Zealots. Bisu is really going Zealot heavy. Alright, they're going to try and take out Zero's 5th base. It does complete, but it goes down nearly instantly. Control group of Zerglings just being like, yeah, we're not going to fight that. So instead, Zero is going for the counterattack. He's got a single High Templar, single Dark Templar to defend. And that's versus half a dozen Lurkers, half a dozen Hydras, a control group of Lings, and at least, I think, 2 Defilers. So, I mean, if Zero is paying attention and controls it at that 2 o'clock position, that base is going to go down super fast with very minimal losses. But that's doing it wrong. You do not want to A-move in your Zerglings without the, what? I'm thinking there was a DT there. Yeah, we saw that DT, and it must have been that Zero used a plague to reveal it. Oh, come on, why? Can't see the fight. Oh man, natural going down for Zero. This is not good. He's losing his natural. He's going to lose his main. Just due to so freaking many zealots. Fourth base has gone down for Bisu, but he's establishing a new base already, and there's a ton of cannons already down. If he loses a hive, Zero's going to be pretty much out of the game. Come on, don't do it. You gotta protect your hive, man. So there's a single sunken, single spore, but there's a dozen zealots. Okay, make that 24 zealots. Plus a hero Archon with 10 kills. So, looks like Zero's just gonna remake everything at the upper position, which is not a decision I agree with. I mean, it's not gonna work. Even if he throws down the Ultros Cavern or any other tech from before the hive goes down, he's losing everything right now. Oh man. Alright, so Zero is completely gutted. Did my sound cut off? I think my sound cut off. I'm gonna restart the stream and see if I can get that back up. Also probably need to cut this video, it's getting kind of long. So part 2 coming up. See you then.